Welcome to Living a Graceful Life. I'm your host, Denise Medved, and I'm also the creator and founder of the Ageless Grace Brain Health Program, which is in 50 states and 30 other countries. And the purpose and mission of this show is to remind all of you that it's never too late to begin to make choices to create the life that you want to live. And that's always true of my guests and our topics on our show, but I think it's especially true tonight. The topic of this episode is, would you like to reduce your risk of Alzheimer's and dementia by up to 53%? That's a pretty shocking question, right? Well, Scherrie Keating is our guest tonight, and she is going to talk to us about the thing that can help you do that. And it's been tested and proven. And no, it's not something you have to buy. It's something you have to do. And it is a pretty fascinating program, to say the least. And I say, and Scherrie says, why wouldn't everybody want to do this if you know that there's something you can actually do to reduce your risk of Alzheimer's by 35 to 53%. So Scherrie, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here on this episode.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm so excited to be your guest again. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Scherrie has been on the show before, and she has a wonderful history of being an RN, a nurse, and she also has done a lot of research on different programs. She has a company called Diabetes Care Consulting, and so she knows a lot about what you need to do to maintain and control your diabetes, and she has an amazing personal story that actually has 3 or 4 different levels to it that qualifies her to talk to you about this particular topic tonight. So I would love to turn it over to her and let her start to tell you a little bit about her background and her story and how she has made choices to live a more graceful life. So Scherrie, tell us some of your story.
Thanks so much, Denise. I know it's only a half an hour show, so I'll give you the brief version. So yes, I have been a registered nurse for, it's 39 years. I just celebrated 39 years. And I've really specialized in the field of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And I started my company 6 years ago, it'll be 6 years in September. And my mission was to really make an impact in the pre-diabetes and diabetes epidemics that we have in our country. And so I actually heard about this topic called type 3 diabetes of the brain. And I had never heard about that. And I started doing some research. And what I found out was that insulin has a specific role in the brain that it is different from the role in the body. And when it's not regulated properly, it leads to Alzheimer's, the same things that you see when you have Alzheimer's disease. And I just got fascinated by that. And I had the opportunity to be a TV host, and I had one of your trainers, Maria Skinner, on, and I just became addicted to Ageless Grace. So I became an educator myself. It was amazing. Everybody should become an educator for sure. And then I became certified in dementia. And you and I made a decision. I had you come on one of my keynotes, and you taught Ageless Grace, and I spoke on diabetes of the brain. And then we had this great idea to combine our expertise and to do a program that we can really impact people's brain health. I think it's critical. My dad, as well as your mom, also had Alzheimer's, and I didn't know what I know now about how we can make personal choices to actually preserve and protect our brain from damage and injury, and just by making some simple lifestyle choices. And so I just became fascinated. I'm so happy to have the opportunity that you and I got to partner together and write this program and offer this to people and change people's brain health for life and to get them started on their brain health journey.
Absolutely. I know, without even saying, give a show of hands, that all of us are impacted by Alzheimer's, some form of dementia, cognitive decline in some way or another. It's either a family member, a parent, the parent of a friend, someone that we know at work, someone that we know of who lives in our neighborhood. It is very, very prevalent in today's society that many people, and unfortunately it's getting younger and younger, have some form of dementia, Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's. And it's a shocking and sad and heartbreaking thing. So to imagine that there could be something that could reduce your chance of Alzheimer's and dementia by 35 to 53% is, to me, it's the most exciting news I've heard in years. I wish I had known this, and I know you do too, when my mom was first diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And when your dad was first diagnosed, it would have been an amazing body of information to have. And as Scherrie mentioned, we've really spent a lot of time looking at the research and reading about it and studying and figuring out how everyone can access this on a simple choice basis. So Scherrie, tell us a little bit more about the three different nutrition programs that have been analyzed in all this research and how that can impact Alzheimer's and dementia.
So there are three diets, and you and I don't like the term diet because it has a negative connotation, but they are called diets, so we need to call them that. There's the Mediterranean, which everyone knows. It's kind of the best overall diet. We have the DASH diet, which people who have high blood pressure are recommended to follow this. It's dietary approaches to stop high blood pressure. And there's specific foods that are healthy for our blood pressure, and that's also good for heart health. And then we have a hybrid model, and it's called the MIND diet. So it's a combination of the Mediterranean and the DASH diet, and it's looking at specific foods from both of those diets that actually have benefits to our brain. There's nutrients in these specific foods that will protect our brain. And the studies were done at Rush University in Chicago. And you're right, it is so exciting. And they're continuing to do more studies to see if actually this MIND diet can change the structure and chemistry of our brain. And so it is fascinating. And it's really about 10 brain healthy foods and 5 unhealthy foods for our brain that can lead to injury. And it's as simple as taking a very small step and making a simple food change. I love when you say what you put on the end of your fork really impacts your health, because not only can what you put on the end of your fork impact your brain health in a positive way and protect from cognitive decline, dementia, and Alzheimer's, but your overall health in terms of your risk of chronic disease like diabetes and obesity and heart disease and stroke. So the dietary guidelines actually say, make every bite count. And so make every bite count, choose foods that have nutrients in them that are brain healthy, and limit those that are not brain healthy that cause damage, and just start small with baby steps. And you will have a significant decrease in your risk of Alzheimer's from 35 to 53%. It is a win-win, and everybody should be excited about this besides you and me.
Right, exactly. I agree. And talk just a little bit about the strict adherence to the MIND diet versus a moderate adherence to the MIND diet.
So the Mediterranean and the DASH, what they found was that when they studied the Mediterranean DASH diet, they do have a positive brain effect, but it's not a protection or prevention effect. It's more of a slowing of cognitive decline. Our brain literally, Denise, starts to decline at late 20s, which is crazy, right? At 20, we don't think we're having brain decline, and our cognition, our memory starts to decline. But the research shows in our late 20s, it starts to decline. And then when we get in our 50s, our brain chemistry and structure and function changes. And when we get in our 60s, we definitely have a lot of brain changes. So the Mediterranean and the DASH diet will slow cognitive decline, but it doesn't prevent it. And this hybrid, the MIND diet, is more of a diet that protects and prevents cognitive decline. What they found is people that ate these 10 brain healthy foods like almost all the time and limited these brain unhealthy foods almost all the time, had a 53% reduction of their risk of Alzheimer's. Even if they did it sometime, which I think is amazing, they had a 35% reduction. So, I mean, it's amazing. The Mediterranean will give you a 54% reduction in Alzheimer's if you do it most of the time. The DASH will give you a 39% reduction. The Mind Diet, 53. But what the Mind Diet does that the other two don't is that even if you have a moderate adherence to these foods, you get a 35% reduction of your risk of Alzheimer's disease and protect your brain, and also to prevent cognitive decline. So that is why the Mind Diet is superior to the other two diets.
It is just remarkable when you think about it. And you did a great thing on Facebook the other day with showing how many quarts or gallons of strawberries, because needless, that's a clue about one of the things that you should include in your diet that actually affects your brain. How many did you pick?
I picked 37 pounds, and then I went back and picked another 25 pounds. And so here's the thing, it's pick your own season. So everybody, if you are near a pick your own, whether it's strawberries or blueberries, blackberry, raspberries, all of the berries, go and pick. And then all you need to do is you don't wash them, you just throw them on a cookie sheet in the freezer. So let them get frozen, throw them in a freezer bag. And then you have berries all year round, and you have the ability to make a healthy choice to help your brain health. It's a win-win. It's fun. Take your family. It's awesome. I've been picking my own berries for probably 30 years.
Wow.
It's
That's
awesome.
great. That's wonderful. And needless to say, that's a clue that berries are a wonderful thing to eat. Without going into details, one of the things that's also maybe different, but certainly important in this way of eating, this nutrition plan or diet called the Mind Diet, is the portion control. Talk about that just a little bit.
So the Mediterranean and DASH diets they list foods that you should eat more of, moderate, and less of. But they don't specifically pick out specific foods and specific portions and specific number of days of the week that are brain healthy. So that is a major difference between those two diets and the Mind Diet. The Mind Diet says, eat these 10 brain healthy foods, this portion size, this number of days a week, limit these brain unhealthy foods, this portion size, this number of days a week. So I think that's important for people to understand. There's two things I want to say about that. Portions matter, okay? And sometimes your brain needs nutrients more often than other times. And so that's why it says maybe you want to eat them weekly, maybe you want to eat them daily, and it specifically identifies the food. The other thing about the Mind Diet is that you can't do one without doing the other. So you can't eat all these healthy foods and then not, limit the unhealthy foods. You actually need to do both to get that reduction in Alzheimer's disease. And the other benefit is that you don't have to eliminate the things that you love, because it's not an elimination diet. You can still have the things that you love, but you have to have it limited in the portion size and the number of days a week. So I think that's pretty good, because when people think about diet, they think, oh my gosh, I can't eat anything that I love anymore. But that's not true with the Mind Diet. It's really just limiting the things that may not be as healthy for your brain, but you can still have them, but maybe less often. And then you're going to eat more of the healthy foods more often. So I think that's really cool about the Mind Diet.
It is. When Scherrie and I did a workshop before that we repeat every once in a while, every couple of months or so, one of the biggest questions was, well, does that mean I can never drink wine? Does that mean I can never have ice cream? Does that mean I can't have chocolate sometimes? And the answer is no, it doesn't mean that at all. But the portion control is very important, and the frequency of how often you have it. And of course, it makes sense, needless to say, it makes sense, because we've all heard that saying, everything in moderation, right? Except unfortunately, most Americans especially don't seem to know what moderation is. We we have been raised on a culture of abundance, quite frankly. Yeah. And supersize this and supersize that and abundance. Like, oh my gosh, we turn on the tap water and leave it running while we walk across the kitchen and do something else and come back. And there are countries where they walk miles to get water. And we just don't have that mindset of controlling the portions of what we have to eat, to drink, to be part of. And so that's been a fascinating thing to me. I'm going to tell a little teeny personal story, and then I want you to tell a personal story too, as well. And that is that, so when Scherrie and I did all this research and I heard all the things that she had discovered, and we worked on them together and put them together with Movement, which of course is Ageless Grace, which is the sponsor of this show, Ageless Grace Brain Health, then I realized, obviously, eating is really important, nourishment and what you choose, but also movement, because so many people are sedentary. And so the idea of this diet or nutrition plan is that it's manageable. It's full of choices. You can make it simple. You can make it easy. You can add one new thing in this week, and then next week add another thing, and take one thing out next week. Like, you can start to break your this, because it's not a crash diet. And then the same thing with the movement. We chose Ageless Grace because anyone can do it. You are asked to do it in a chair because that engages your brain. And that means you can do it anywhere, because a hotel room has a chair, wherever you are, there's a chair. You can do this. So you can get movement in that will affect your brain. And we know that from research as well. So when we looked at all this, and I said to myself, well, why wouldn't everybody do this? I went, so that means me. And I am pretty healthy. I eat pretty well. I exercise a lot. I teach a lot of Ageless Grace and Mia classes. But January 1st, before we did this program, I think was the first time in late February or early March.
It was late January, beginning of February. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I decided, okay, I'm going to start doing this, and I'm going to do pretty strict adherence, because I really want to. I'm a little behind. I wish I'd started it early, but I said, okay, I'm going to start it January 1st. And I had that mindset. Why did I start January 1st? Because I was thinking, because it's a diet. I'm going on a diet January 1st, after Christmas, after Thanksgiving. Now I don't have that mindset anymore. Well, long story short, not only does this help your brain function more quickly, give you more brain agility, help you with focus and attention and concentration, and I have seen that and noticed it, but it also resets your brain at a fairly quick pace. You start to think like, well, I don't really want to eat that anymore, that bad food that I can still have, but I'm just not interested. And then you start to think like, oh, I'm craving, those berries or those dark leafy greens. And you start thinking about that. And that all of a sudden is what I was craving, not ice cream, not chocolate, but dark leafy greens. Like, what's that all about? Because it's setting my brain to a different mindset or resetting my body. Well, long story short, since January 1st, as a bonus, not my intention, and I would have liked to have lost some weight, but not my intention, I have lost 20 pounds. Now, I hid that fairly well because I know how to dress, and because I, work out and have a lot of muscle, so I'm in good shape. But I was shocked that over a 4, 5, 6 month period, now it's been five months and a half, that I could lose that much weight. I feel fabulous. My clothes feel fabulous. I crave the good stuff. I really do. It's not just something I'm telling myself. Like, I start to think about, maybe I can have some salmon. Oh, maybe I can have some. And that's what I'm craving, not some of the bad stuff that I used to eat. So that's my little story about the Mind diet, which is really a lifestyle, a nutrition program. And like our TV show says, it's never too late to start making choices that can help you create the life you want to live. Well, this is the life I want to live. Like, I want to live on this forever and not have Alzheimer's like my mom, or dementia or cognitive decline like so many of my patients. And then Scherrie has been through a lot of personal challenges. Let me put it that way, and talk about what your diet has done for you.
Before I go into that, I just want to reiterate a word that you said, mindset. And I think that's such a big, important word, because people think, oh, well, I can't change my behavior. I'm 70, I'm 80. I've been doing it like this my whole life. But it really is a mindset shift. And yes, behavior change is difficult, but it's not impossible. And so I want people to know that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can change your mindset, and you can change your lifestyle habits, and you can reap the benefits at any age. So I'm glad that you said that, because it really is a mindset shift. And I think behavior change starts with mindset shift.
It does. And the brain is what produces proteins, hormones. It's what gives directions and signals to the rest of the body. It's what tells you when you're hungry, that vagus nerve. And so when you are doing something that is affecting that brain in a positive way, then it's going to start saying, I want more of this. I want more of that. Let's do more of this. This is a good choice. And so it is the mindset, but it's also literally your brain giving different information to your body. It's fascinating.
Yes, I love that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring in was that, it's small changes. It really is just like you said. So you didn't eat good yesterday, but you have today. And if you didn't do well at breakfast, you got lunch. And if you didn't do well at lunch, you have dinner. So, and if you had a total bad day, you have tomorrow. So it really is about small steps. And, for me personally, I had terminal cancer. I had Crohn's disease. I've had multiple surgeries, and I have been on IV medications for years. And food is not only impacting our brain health, but our overall health. It's decreasing inflammation in our brain and in our body. And so it'll be almost a year, I went gluten and dairy free, and I was able to incorporate a lot of the Mind Diet foods, even though I'm gluten and dairy free. And I was able to get off my GI medication in February, and my lab work came down 1,000 points. So food is really the cornerstone of health. And I really believe it is the key to a long, healthy, quality life, because that's what we want, right? We want to live a long, healthy life, but we want a high quality life. And food and the choices that we make and what we put on the end of our fork really can give us that ability to achieve that goal. So I think whether, no matter what you're struggling with, whether it's weight, whether it's cognitive decline, whether it's diabetes, whether it's heart disease, stroke, whether it's Crohn's disease, I think food is really the key to success, and we all can be successful. We just need to we need to shift our mindset, and we need to make some decisions about what we're putting on our fork.
You have a wonderful quote that I love, and I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's about food and is medicine.
Oh yeah, so the quote is, food can either be the slowest form of poison or the best medicine. I believe that's Ann Whitmore. And you know what? It is so true, because I have had Crohn's disease since 1990. And I always talk to the doctors, and they never really really felt that food was a big important thing for me to shift. It was always another medicine, another medicine, another medicine. But then when I did a lot of reading with the Mind Diet, and I started to read books on intermittent fasting and all of these other things, in my mind, I'm like, well, wait a minute. If food is good for my brain, then why don't I look for the food that's good for my gut? And I went gluten and dairy free, and it was amazing. I mean, no IV meds since February, and my numbers dropped 1,000 points. That's incredible. And of course, I exercise and everything, and I feel like a different person. So you know what? It's food is just critical for our health. Really.
Absolutely. And we've always, I think most people in America, at least, and maybe other countries as well, tend to think of food as a treat, as a special celebration, as, a comfort. I mean, so many people binge when they're upset about something or when they're celebrating something. It's a birthday party. I can have cake, I can have ice cream, I can have anything I want. It's like we look at it as not something that is our fuel. And that's a word that you use a lot about food is our fuel. And so, if we put awful cheap, shoddy gas full of water in our cars, they're not going to run correctly. And it's so the same thing when we put processed foods.
Fast food that's got nitrates, a lot of sugar, saturated fats. We're going to get the result of whatever we're putting into our bodies because our brain is fueled 24/7. And if we're not giving it high quality food that's got antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, it's got, the certain vitamins and minerals and nutrients that our brain needs, it's not going to run and it's going to break down just like the car that's not given high quality fuel. So I'm glad you brought up that point because really we need to decide what type of fuel that we're going to put into our body.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people say that they don't have that many choices in life. We go back to what we started this show with is that we do have choices and it's never too late to begin making those good and positive choices. It makes a difference. So like Scherrie said at the very beginning, if you're even moderately adherent to the MIND diet, you can reduce your risk of Alzheimer's by 35%. Again, it doesn't talk a lot about weight loss, but look what I did by making choices. And I'm not the only one. Look what Scherrie did with something that she's been suffering from since the 90s. Huge changes because of deciding, is this what I want to eat or is this what I want to eat? Is this the choice I want to make or is this the choice that I want to make? And again, this is not a crash diet, even though the very first day I said, okay, January 1st, when everything goes over. But now I look like, oh gosh, not at all. And I truly said, okay, I'm going to start adding this in. And oh, I hadn't thought that I wasn't getting enough of that. And oh, I've been eating portions that are much too big on this thing, even though I've been eating this thing. So it's something you can do a little at a time because it is not a crash diet. It's not something that you do. It's a mindset of, am I going to do this for the rest of my life? And if you even do part of it, you can make a huge difference in your brain and in your body and in your mindset. And Scherrie, thank you so much for this information. She's a fountain of information. And if you're interested in learning more about this diet, and it takes a long time to tell you everything that's in it, but it's pretty simple to follow. Tomorrow from 6 p.m. Eastern time until 9 p.m., we're having 2.5-hour workshop on this program and on the physical exercise you can do with it. That's mild and simple and easy. Anyone can do this diet. Anyone can do this movement, this nourishment and movement that we've put together. And then the last half hour is question and answer. And our program includes a 50-page booklet that you can print out and follow along with and refer to and look. And it has all the list of the foods and the portions and how many days a week and what size. It's very specific. And then we also have a Facebook page where you can go with other people who are living on this nourishment and movement, and you can support each other. And then we also have a handout of the simple movements and things that you can do on your own. You don't have to join a gym. You don't have to pay for a personal trainer. You can do those things if you want to, but this is about. All this is about making it accessible to everyone who would like to change the way they live their lives for the better and to live a more graceful life. So if you're interested in that, you can agelessgrace.com, and there's a section that says training and a section that says classes and workshops, and both places you can see the lifelong brain health through nourishment and movement, which is the 3-hour workshop that we happen to be doing tomorrow night. We haven't done it since, I don't know, March or April or something like that. And we do it every couple of months or so by popular demand when there are people that ask for it. And it's $149 for the 3 hours, the booklet, the exercises, the movements, this Facebook page, et cetera. And it's more than worth it. It's life-changing. And so again, agelessgrace.com, and go to either training, and you'll find lifelong nourishment for lifelong brain health through nourishment and movement, or you can go to classes and workshops, and it'll be listed there as well. And I think you might be really, really fascinated by what can happen, even if your goal is not to lose weight, even if your goal is like, I don't have diabetes, I don't have Crohn's, I don't have any of those things. Wouldn't you like to reduce your risk of Alzheimer's and dementia by that much? Holy moly. So the whole point of this program, and the whole point of what we're talking about, is to remind you that you can make choices. It's never too late to begin to make choices to create the life that you want to live. So thank you for being with us on Living a Graceful Life. And I hope you will be inspired by Scherrie and by me to make some positive choices for yourself. We'll see you next week, where we're going to be talking about grief and about the forgotten grievers. See you next time.